Listen to this episode if you have good intentions to get things done every day, but you find yourself just putting out fires and living in Slack all day long with your team. Today, we're going to be talking about managing a team. And I know that this is a part that so many business owners really struggle with, especially as you scale. Right around 250,000 to maybe the $2 million mark, you're just getting used to actually having a solid team around you to be able to manage it. You as the founder, your job changes drastically as your sales scale. And I know managing a team is probably something that you never thought that you would have to do. And so today I really want to talk about this idea that managing your team is taking up all of your time. Your team is supposed to create freedom, especially in these early stages. And instead you end up in Slack all day. You're kind of putting fires out, you're answering their questions, you're doing little tasks, and then you never actually get to the stuff on your list that you have to do in order to actually grow the business. This was actually submitted by one of you guys in our Founder Cafe, submitted by Grace. This is a coaching sessions episode, which basically means in our completely free podcast community that you can join in the link below. She submitted this question for me to answer in an episode, and here we are recording a full episode on it. Grace sent this question over, and it says, I have scaled my business and scaled my team to 5 to 7 part-time or freelancers at each moment. But I feel like I'm always just helping them accomplish their tasks. They give me little things to do or ask questions all day. How do I get out of this? This is such a great question. We're diving into this today. I talk to clients about this all the time. And so I'm so excited to really dive into what the major problem is here and how do we fix it. Before we do that, I just want to take 10 quick seconds in case you're new here. My name is Madison Page. I'm a business growth specialist. I work with product-based business owners to help them become the next category leader in their industry. And we talk a lot about team all day long because as you scale, you have more team. And a lot of times, many founders will tell you that managing your team at a certain stage is actually one of the hardest things that you're doing because you have a lot of ideas, you have a lot of people, and all of a sudden you have a lot of responsibility on the business as well. So the first thing that I like to kind of ask here is when somebody says, Maddie, I just feel like all day long I'm talking to the team and I'm answering their questions and I'm putting fires out and I'm doing little tasks that they want me to do. I just feel like I never actually have time to work on the business, which is what the founder really should be doing at these stages. And my first question usually is this actually a team problem? What I mean by that is how often have you actually told them that their expectations are that you can go and run with this? How often have you checked in with this person and asked if they need anything from you? How often have we looked at the systems if we can streamline this? Or are you just right now basically content on just answering everybody's questions? And so that's all that you're doing. You're not seeing those consistent questions as a way to actually build a system or something behind it to never have to answer that question again. Sometimes the problem actually isn't the employee themselves. It actually is the framework that we have around the business. Now, I don't want to say it's you as the founder that's the problem because I have a lot of people that are like, maybe I'm just not cut out to be a leader. I guess some people are natural born leaders, but managing a large team and growing a business is a hard thing to do. Understanding that it does take time to learn and develop. Not everybody is born knowing how to do these things. So sometimes we actually have to ask if we have given our team full permission to do things without asking us, to make decisions, to handle problems, to find solutions, to write copy if they feel like they know how to, because many team members are actually just asking to make sure that they don't get in trouble, to make sure that they don't do something wrong. So I want to ask right now, when was the last time, if you feel like this is something that you really relate to, when was the last time you said, hey, I actually trust you, go ahead, approved, and go right ahead and do that thing. I believe in you and I trust you and I think you can kind of run with that. When was the last time you got a consistent question like, hey, is it okay if I do this versus that? Do you care if I do this or this other thing? And you just said, yes, I absolutely like this one better than that one. In the future, I totally trust you. Go ahead and run with it. Many times, our problems of managing a team can actually be solved with better training and just providing permission and having really good conversations. You know, sometimes people say, I just have this one person that never really seems motivated. And it's like, okay, that might not actually be a person problem. That doesn't mean you need to fire them. What it means is we need to have a conversation with them. Hey, I've noticed that you aren't feeling very motivated often. Like we aren't really taking initiative in some of these areas. What would allow for us to be able to do that? What would allow for you to actually be really gung-ho? Is there anything that you're really excited about in business that we could give you to try to re-engage some of your efforts here? And really just having conversations. The hard part is being a leader does require hard conversations, and it does require trust and ability to say, yes, go ahead and take it. The most important thing that I want to note here is you have to understand that if you put your trust in these people and you say, yes, go and run with it, you do have to say, if there is a mistake that happens, you are also still willing to take that as, you know what, that was my fault. I never told you that. It can't be their problem if you told them, yes, go and run with it, because it might not be the exact same way that you would do it if they're taking something and running with it. But was it accomplished? Did everything burn to the ground? And was it okay? Yes. Okay, let's go. That's fine. Sometimes done is better than perfect in some of these categories. And everything doesn't always need to be done the way that you would have done it if you were doing it the whole time. So you have to understand, if you do grant these people trust and say, I wholeheartedly trust you, you have to stand by that. You have to actually say, I trust you. And if something happens, you say, you know what? That's on me. I told you to do that, and that's okay. There is a lot of times in business that you kind of have to eat your own ego a little bit. There's a lot of times that I wish I could blame somebody else, but no, a lot of times it is a me thing. So that is the first place that I want to start here. Is this a team problem, or have we just not actually communicated expectations and trust efficiently here? Every question that is consistently happening to you should become a system, is another step to this. So if you are getting the same question over and over again, hey, can you create this copy for this? Hey, what should I do in this situation? Hey, what are your thoughts here? Instead of you constantly saying, okay, let me just go and do that right now. It's saying, okay, if I'm doing this over and over again, and I find this consistency that this one person keeps asking me this question, how can I create a system? How can I create a flow chart of like yes or no? How can I create a checklist of, all right, here's our process. Here's an SOP of like how this is actually really done. Or maybe we're utilizing AI in this situation of how can I create a copy bot on AI that is my voice that I have trained. So my team now has my voice that I like the best utilized in these different areas. So if you are consistently getting a question over and over again and it's getting frustrating answering it, we have to also think, okay, we've gotten that question 3 times in the last couple of weeks. Now let's create a system for it. Okay, I find myself doing all of these things. We need to create a system for it at a certain point. So I want you to start thinking of it like that. If this is like a one-off 911 super strange question that you understand has a lot of nuance, that's totally fine. Obviously, you're not going to be able to train these people to have the answer to every single question. If this is something that really is in the operational aspect of the business, we should be able to streamline some of that. So kind of going off of that, you do need to have a system for the 911s versus just these tasks. Really what this comes down to is messaging efficiency, communication efficiency. So if you're going to tell people, go ahead and run with it, here's a system, go and do that. What you're basically going to be met with is now the questions that come to you are either tasks that only you can create or a 911 question that only you have the answer to really solve the problem. You have to basically be able to decipher, is this a 911 or is this a task? And now we have to explain it to the team, and we have to have a different system for them to be able to contact you. Because what your day really should look like, what you should schedule out your calendar is saying, okay, today is Tuesday. I'm going to sit down and the big things I'm going to tackle are these major growth initiatives. But what ends up happening is all of a sudden they say, hey, can you write copy for this? Hey, can you send a note over to this person? Hey, I have this question. And all of a sudden it's 3:00 and you never got to what you really needed to do to grow the business. And so what we need to understand is that everybody else's tasks, they are not managing you. You are managing them. If there isn't a system behind it, you have to be able to say, is this something that I need to do right now? It is mission critical for me to handle immediately. Or is this something that I can tackle tomorrow? Is this something that I can tackle first thing tomorrow morning after I finish what I'm currently doing? I highly recommend you have time blocked in your calendar, maybe every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 to 11 a.m., you are handling the tasks that your team gives you, these small little things. Of course, this depends on how much team you have. If you have 5 or 7, you're probably still pretty active in some of these areas. If you have 50 to 70, you're probably fairly removed from this. But I recommend having an hour, depending on how much of this time that you need, that is dedicated to actually just accomplishing these random tasks. Have it time blocked in your calendar, and your team knows that you do that first thing every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So then that message, instead of saying, hey, can you write me this copy? It's saying, hey, add to your list for tomorrow morning, any chance you can touch on the copy for this website page. They now know that that's not an immediate thing that you need to stop everything and do. It's something that you have put into these chunks in these other days. But if you do have a 911, something randomly goes out of stock, there is this big issue, something is going down, you do have an actual fire, because many times we think we're putting fires out. I think we use that a little loosely, but there are true times that's like an SOS in business. Your Instagram gets shut down, something's going viral, something is happening that needs immediate attention. And good or bad, it doesn't really matter. Then we need to be able to have a level of communication that says, okay, this is how you contact me if 911 something is going on that I need to know right now, because that allows for you to take a step back from Slack and step into Slack when you are in those times of you actually wanting to get up to date with the team. But if you need to know something right now, what does your team do? Is it a text? Is it a call? Does everybody have your phone number that when they need something ASAP, they actually just call you? What does that look like? And you need to have a system for it. So often we're wasting so much time and you end up not being able to do what you actually have to do because you are not having a structure around it. You haven't told people, hey, these are the 2 different areas here. You haven't said, if this is 911, this is how we handle it. If this is a task for me, this is how we handle it. You also have to put a structure. This goes back to you creating your own calendar, and it makes a really big difference. If it's okay, I'm going to interrupt this podcast for 30 quick seconds to let you know about the Founders Cafe. It is my completely free podcast community where you can gain access to bonus resources, gain access to me and free coaching calls, as well as build a network of other business owners just like yourself. Business ownership is a lonely game, and we might as well build community, build a network, and have a space to collaborate. We can bring this conversation and all the other conversations we have on this podcast over into this free podcast community and make this a two-way street. I would love to answer your questions there, connect with you, see you on our next free coaching call. Click the link in the show notes and you'll find the link there. The other side here really does come down to hiring. In the early stages of your business, there's a difference between hiring for ownership and hiring for task completion. There's a difference between hiring somebody who's going to do the work and somebody that's going to own the work and figure it out and be a little bit more self-sufficient. Assistants wait for instructions. If you've ever had an assistant, you know that you have to say, hey, go and do this. Hey, can you do that? Hey, can you do this other thing for me? And you basically are saying, hey, I need you to add this to my calendar. Hey, can you reach out to this person? Hey, we're doing some of these things. They might have some routine tasks that they own, but operators are solving problems and owning the solutions of things. And so you want to hire people who are self-sufficient. You want to hire people who bring solutions and not just questions. You want to hire people that are thinking one step ahead, that aren't just saying, hey, let's up our shipping threshold from 50 to 75. They're saying, okay, if we up the shipping threshold from 50 to $75 and then they get free shipping, what that means is now we have to go on the emails. It says $50. So we have to go and edit our emails. We might have to go edit some ads. We might have to go edit the messaging on our website. They're thinking about possible other ripple effects. They're not just going and saying, great, I will go and edit the free shipping threshold from $50 to $75. They are actually going out and doing it and thinking, okay, I am perceiving other problems that could happen with this. They are comfortable making decisions with clear boundaries. You want somebody that you say, hey, I want you to make that decision. And they're not like, ooh, I don't really want to make that decision. I want you to make that decision. They're not so worried about doing something wrong. They trust themselves and they're confident in themselves. And they're actually so excited when you say, honestly, I trust you. I don't think there's anything that you can do that's really going to make a big enough problem for me to worry about it. You go and tackle that And if there is a problem, come to me and I'm happy to help. You want somebody that takes responsibility also when something goes wrong. They come to you and they say, hey, I'm so sorry. I wrote this email and I realized that this email came across a totally wrong way. How do we want to fix it? Right? We want somebody, again, that's taking initiative, that's confident in what they're doing, and they're willing to actually communicate with you as well. You also want somebody that continuously improves the process. You want somebody that actually vocalizes, hey, I actually found this way that I think we could actually make our YouTube thumbnails perform better. I think we should try this. Have you ever thought about testing this other thing? And you can say no, or you can say, you know what? That's a great idea. Take it and run with it. I would love for you to do that. You own that. I'm excited about it. But this takes a loss of control that you have to be comfortable with. A lot of times it is this balance that the leader hasn't actually given people the permission, or they've given people permission and that they never actually want to lose that control. So they're still kind of micromanaging and they're in there. You want people to figure it out. You want people to solve your problems for you because they're going to own it then. And then they only come to you when something is either really good or really bad or just a nuanced question, because that's going to stop you from putting fires out all day. I have told team members, you know what? You should Google that. Because all I'm going to do, if they ask me a question and I don't know, and I'm going to go to Google, I will tell them, you know what? It's a great question. You should Google it. Because I don't want to do the Googling and then say, here's the answer. And now it seems like, okay, the next time they don't know, they're going to come to me before they Google. They're going to come to me before they figure it out. You want somebody that instead of saying, hey, I can't figure out how to change this thing on the website, and instead they're going to YouTube, they're going to Google, they're going to ChatGPT to say, hey, I'm trying to add this to the website. How does that work? They are self-sufficient in solving their problems. And so if you have people right now that you have not had some of these conversations with, you've not given this trust, you have not actually given them the actual full control because you've been holding on, which is super common. It is hard to give people control of your baby, right? This is one of our babies. And if you haven't done that, this is your sign that if you're stuck in the fires of your business, oftentimes it is a conversation problem. It is this leadership problem. You know, right away when you start your business, it's basically you doing everything. And then you hire a couple of little specialists. You might hire some people in fulfillment. You might hire somebody to help you with your marketing, maybe your website, maybe your emails. Nobody is managing those people, whether they're freelancers or part-time people. You are managing them as well as you are still running the company. And so you need to have somebody or systems to help manage those people. So eventually when it starts to grow and you have an ads person, you have an email person, you have a fulfillment person, and you have a full warehouse team, you have all this stuff going on, a lot of times then it's founder at the top, some sort of operations manager or GM, and then all of these other people until these other systems build out enough to then have, okay, we have a marketing manager, we have a warehouse manager, we have a social manager, we have all of these other little small managers, right? And then eventually you have a general manager, maybe some HR, maybe somebody that's actually managing them. So your team consistently builds out, and over time you get more and more removed from the overall operations. But at this stage of like 250 to, 2 to 5 million, you're still pretty included because you don't yet have all of these managers that are answering these questions. So it's on you to be able to be the manager and the leader. And it is a really hard point in business. And so your early hires need to save you hours, because if you are managing them, if you hire a ton of operators and assistants that are waiting for your instruction to do something, then what ends up happening is they're not saving you any time because you still have to direct them as to what to do. You want somebody to say, hey, I know I'm supposed to be working 10 hours a week. I don't really know what to do this week. These are some things that I think would be really helpful for me. These are some of the other things that I would really like to do, instead of having them just sit back and collect their 10 hours without actually doing anything. And so you have to be that person that is building the systems, having the communication, giving them the control, and hiring the right people that are actually going to take things and run with it. It's super important. You can't build a business when you are the person that it's functioning from, because if they need founder approval for everything, Every single fire lands on your desks. You can never go on vacation, and you can never actually work on what you have to do as the founder, which is grow the stinking business. There's so many things that these are your tasks. You are working on the strategy, the long-term objectives, the growth, the vision. You are working on making the network that you need to make in order to make this happen. You're doing outreach to some of these people. You need to be able to do that. The goal isn't for you to be needed all the time. The goal is to build a team of rock stars that are independent and that you actually do trust to give them the permission to take it and run with it. The goal is for them to be so incredibly valuable and to take time off of your plate. If you answer the same thing, if you have a meeting about the same thing all the time, if you're fixing the same mistakes all the time, you need to understand that if you do something more than 3 times, I have a 3-strike rule. If I do something 3 times, I'm either creating a system around it, I'm having a conversation around it, or I'm making a change immediately. I am saying, okay, you asked me this question this one time, you asked me this question this other time, you asked me this question this other time. Great. I now either feel like you should be able to run with it, or I say you need a little bit more training, but then I want you to be able to take it and run with it. Or I'm saying we got to talk about this. What's going on? How can we streamline this? Because this is not a question that needs to fall on my desk all the time. How can I make sure that you feel solid enough to be able to take this and run with it? What information do you need? What permission do you need? And what feedback do you need in order to do that? Oftentimes when I hire somebody, I have like a 30 to 90 day, depending on what they're doing, 30 to 90 day approval process. So I will say, all right, you're going to do my marketing. Great. For the next 30 days, I want you to send me every single post, because marketing is a big one. It's out there. It is the middle of my business. It is everything going out there. And if I approve it without any edits, more than 5 times in a row, I'm saying, you know what? I think you're probably pretty good. If you have a question, just let me know. But in those 30 days, I tell them we have 30 days to really get this out there. If you have any questions for me, and I'm paying a little bit more attention that first month, and then I'm giving them the reins and I'm saying, if you have some sort of 911 or a question, just feel free to let me know. But other than that, I am taking this and running with this. So the founder really should be doing the vision, the strategy, the growth, the relationships, hiring more people, making financial decisions, making investments, taking the business to that next step, and really focusing on growth initiatives. You really can't be chasing decisions every day. So Grace, what I would say to you is I want you to first ask yourself, when was the last time that you actually gave one of your employees full permission? Do you feel comfortable giving your employees full permission? Do you feel like they are a person that you can ever actually trust that much to give them the full permission? And have you actually trained them enough to have enough answers, right? To be able to answer these questions. The next thing is are you building processes when you're seeing you're answering the same questions through AI, through just having like a Notion or some sort of Asana software, through having SOPs, checklists, flow charts, anything like that? And then do you actually have a structure in your calendar where you say, great, I'll tackle that tomorrow morning. Great, I'll tackle that tomorrow morning. It's just training like anything else. You are training, if you're training a dog or you have kids or whatever it might be. When your kids come to you and they say, Mom, I'm bored, what do you say? If you say, honey, give me 10 minutes, let me finish what I'm doing, and then I'll be there, they'll go and entertain themselves for 10 minutes because the expectation is there. But if you just sit there and you don't give them some structure around it, they're going to want you to play still right now. You have to communicate with these people of, okay, you know what? That's a great task. I will absolutely accomplish this tomorrow during my working in the business hours or during my admin hours when I'm really doing some of that stuff. I'll do that tomorrow morning. And that's when I will be able to accomplish it. Put it into buckets, but this takes you needing to have a calendar that's very structured. It takes you needing to have hard conversation, and it takes you needing to develop some of these systems. Unless you can say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should develop an AI, copy bot, and we can do that in our business to allow for some of this to really be seamless for us. What do you think of that? They say, great, let me go and take some of this copy that we've done before, and I'll just create that bot, and then maybe I'll send it over to you so you can further train it and kind of give it some feedback, and then we can go from there. Perfect. They can take it and they can run with it. So if you feel like you're putting out fires all day in your business, it's a really actual dangerous place to be because you're not able to work on the things that fully, truly matter. And so that's where you need to be focusing right now. If this is you, where you're like, I can't do anything else, we need to start on this process ASAP. I hope that this was a helpful conversation for you. We don't talk much about team management on the podcast, but it is something that I'm starting to get way more questions on that I want to bring here. It's something I've ran and managed teams of 70 plus for many years. And in my business now, I have team members, I have people that I'm constantly operating, as well as I'm managing other people's teams when I am the fractional CEOs of their company. And I'm helping a lot of people fix their problems within their team. And so team is a really popular conversation that I am talking about all the time, because you need to have operational efficiency and operational structure that allows for you to do the things that you actually have to do, because you are such an important asset to your business. You are the growth engine. And so you have to be able to do the things that you have to do in order to actually keep the business growing and growing and growing. You're always going to be busy, but you have to have some structure behind it. I hope that this was helpful for you. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to reach out on my Instagram at thisismadisonpage. I absolutely adore when I get messages from you so I can go and stock your business. Please reach out to me there. Otherwise, I love you. I'm rooting for you. I'm in your corner always, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Business Growth Podcast. We put out new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. So if you love this one, make sure that you're subscribed so you never miss a conversation. If you want more conversations with me and other business owners, make sure that you join our completely free podcast community, the Founders Cafe. The link is in the show notes. You can get bonus resources, access to free coaching calls, as well as connect with like-minded business owners like yourself. Make sure that you rate and review the podcast 5 stars, share it with a friend to keep those conversations moving, and come back every Tuesday and Friday. I'll see you there.